Death Spiral, the only anime podcast based on the original 70s cult classic Japanimation Murder Coil. We are back to talk about anime. Isn't that right? Co-host number one.
God, are they gonna let us out of the room? Do we have to keep talking about anime?
Co-host number one, I'm talking to you. Are you ready for anime?
Someone needs to help us. They need to get us out of here.
Now, before we talk about anime, co-host number one, I'm going to have you agree to the rules, of course, of Anime Death Spiral.
Okay, yes. Yes. Yeah, hey, all right, let's talk about anime.
Rule number one, you cannot insult other influencers or podcasters.
Okay.
Number two,
fair.
I don't want you using any kind of offensive language or potty humor. That's off the table.
Okay, no, yeah, sure, want to keep it family friendly.
Now, of course, number three, I don't want you to bring up any sensitive subjects. I don't want politics. I don't want violence. I don't want nudity. I don't want any feminist propaganda, fetishization of any kind of style of sorts, and any kind of thing that instigates negative discourse. We cannot have that on the podcast. Do you understand?
Wait, what?
None of that. We cannot talk about any of that on the podcast, but we can talk about anime. Anime.
Enemy?
Enemies. We can't talk about enemies.
Okay, all right. Sure. You know what? You guys gave me a promo code. I'll play by your rules. All right.
I'm glad you agree. Okay, then we could talk about anime or enemies. The Denis Villeneuve movie. You want to talk about that? I could go off on that movie. You remember that one?
No, I never got
Jake
around.
Gyllenhaal?
I never got around to seeing that one. I'm new to the Villeneuve oeuvre. I've seen the Dune movies. I never saw Sicario. That one seems kind of weird in retrospect. Like the more I know about it, does it seem like a bit? I don't know. Racist? Oh, wait, excuse me. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to talk about
we're
politics.
not supposed to talk about that. No, Enemies. It was the one with the giant spider in it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like spiders.
And Blade Runner. You remember? You remember Blade Runner?
Yeah, Blade Runner.
That was a pretty big movie.
It had that Jared Leto in it. Love having him in more movies.
Yeah, he was...
I like it when he appears in stuff.
He was the wasn't he the president of the politically neutral company that does things that we can't quite tell are good or bad?
Yeah. He was blind. So how could he be a bad person? He can't even see.
He couldn't even see. You can't do bad things if you can't see.
That's true. That is very true.
That's not a political statement. That is just the truth. Well, in light of that, since you haven't seen Enemy, I don't want to be the only one talking about it. We don't want to end up like the last episode where I break down the whole movie.
That kind of leaves us with anime.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to talk about anime.
Okay. All right. Once again, I resign myself to talking about anime with you here in this beautiful San Diego studio that we record from.
Yes, it's a really great day in San Diego. Nothing's on fire. We're not having one of these once-in-a-century storms at the moment. And the zoo is so close by.
Now, I before we get into it, I just want to make a brief mention because I feel it ties into what we talked about last episode regarding long-running series coming to an end. And I feel like maybe we kind of willed this into existence. Maybe we were the final nudge in the cosmic chain that has now forced Gigi to announce Jujutsu Kaisen is ending in 5 chapters. The dynasties are ending.
You really blindsided me with this one. I did not know. I mean, obviously, from the tone of the manga, it was clear that it was ending. I mean, Can you imagine if it just kept going after this? It would be like, put it out of its misery.
Well, what do we do?
Come
We
on.
do Jujutsu Kaisen Kindergarten, like a Muppet Babies take on it. We
did a prequel. That was the movie.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. That was the movie. Jujutsu Technical High.
We would have to do a spin-off like My Hero Vigilantes.
Yeah. Speaking of My Hero, what fast food chain do you think Itadori's going to end up working in?
Oh, I thought you were going to be, which one is going to have one of those, like, tie-in meals? Yeah. Because I did go to a Wendy's for the first time in a long time, and they had a Deadpool and Wolverine tie-in menu. Did you know that?
No, I don't. Well, okay. I wish they would do something on par with the tie-in stuff that I see from Japanese fast food chains. Like, I want a burger has a red bun with 2 little black dots on it. It's supposed to look like Deadpool's mask, right? Why can't we get a Deadpool a burger pool? Why can't we get a burger pool?
Well, the obvious answer is, of course, that his thing is chimichangas.
Of course.
But
you have tacos at Wendy's, don't you?
Well, what they did, and I was surprised by this, they did a chimichanga-themed egg roll.
Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
At what point does it stop being an egg roll and turn into a chimichanga, or vice versa?
None of us had the courage or the strength of character to make the call to order the chimichanga flavored egg roll at Wendy's. So unfortunately, we'll never know.
I really, really regret not getting the Luffy burger from McDonald's when I was in Japan.
You should have. This is what I'm talking about. You should have done that.
I know. I felt really bad afterwards, especially since I kept seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, and now it's the 25th anniversary, right now, and you're going to miss it.
Wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I feel really bad because I want to be in Japan during the 25th anniversary of One Piece. That gives me the feeling of when I was in France during the 2006 soccer finals. I shouldn't call it soccer. It's football.
The classic, the Zidane headbutt.
Yes, the Zidane headbutt. I saw that in a town square filled with Frenchmen who cheered louder than I've ever heard any group of people cheer.
Streamers
at
and
anything.
confetti came out of all the windows. The children
Oh my God.
all ran about with baguettes in their hands.
It was so monumentous that even when they lost the final game, people still felt like they had won because he'd headbutted that Italian. That rude Italian man.
Listen, as an Italian, I can say that we've all wanted to headbutt an Italian man at least one point in our life.
Yeah. I mean, he was being a dick. You're not supposed to headbutt people, and he did get a red card for it, but that guy was being
What was his name? Maserati? Was that the guy?
It can't be Maserati.
I'm pretty sure it was Maserati.
You're being racist now. You are being anti-Italian right
Antonio Maserati.
No. You cannot call it
Raphael de Bugatti.
Luigi Spaghetti.
Hey, my name's Mario Spagbol.
Oh, God.
Yeah, okay, that's another reason to hate the British. They call spaghetti spagbol. Did you know that?
I did not know that, and I'm frankly disgusted by it. It seems low even for them.
Can you name... It's short for spaghetti bolognese, but they call it spagbol.
Even when it's not bolognese?
Even when it's just red sauce on noodles.
They still call it spagbol.
They call it spagbol.
Yeah, no, my hatred for them is renewed. This is a Free Ireland podcast.
Oh well, absolutely. Free the North.
Oh wait, no, we're not supposed to. And
Wait, no politics.
About politics. We can't talk about politics.
All
Sorry.
right, okay, all right. Let's move on.
We have to talk about anime.
Yeah, let's go past to anime. Let's stay completely politically
wait,
neutral.
We're not going to say anything about Jujutsu Kaisen ending.
Oh right, right.
You're going to let that shit pass in the night?
Well,
because
yeah.
I've been reading. I'm caught up.
Okay,
I've been reading Jujutsu the whole fucking time.
I'm in the middle of the culling game right now. I'm way behind. But you're caught up. How do you feel? Because they have announced that it is ending in 5 chapters. That announcement came out as of this morning.
I feel conflicted because I feel like it has simultaneously been dragging on way too long, and 5 chapters feels like too soon. I feel both of those ways. This final fight really does give me Dragon Ball flashbacks. I'm really getting some of the more boring boss fights. I hate to say it because I do love, obviously I'm a Frieza kid. That was my arc.
Oh, absolutely.
But the amount of
Namek
time
was the best
took.
one.
Yeah, the amount of time it took to defeat Frieza. As a child, obviously I'm a impatient child. I grew up with certain, let's say, proclivities. Mm-hmm. My attention span was short even for the time. It was pretty torturous to watch episode after episode of the same fight.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're bringing back Spirit Bomb flashbacks.
Can we please move on? I really want to see Goku fight like literally anyone else. Can we have him fight Vegeta again? That would be cool.
I get the feeling that that's kind of what's happening with the series of Sukuna fights I've been hearing about.
Yes. Well, it's not even a series because he has been in one sustained fight for, and I really should, just for the sake of, truth and order, like fact check this, but I want to say like 60 chapters. It has been going on so long.
That's too long.
It's so long.
Hey, let's wrap it up. It's time to wrap it up, Holmes. Come on.
Do you remember there was a point when we were talking about, maybe we were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, but we said when the manga author starts just describing powers instead of like doing cool choreography or action scenes, it just becomes pages and pages of explaining how the powers work. That was a bad sign for a shonen.
Yes. Yeah. No, I remember talking about that. I think that the exception there that everyone is trying to emulate with that writing style, they're doing a Hail Mary to try and pull off what JoJo does with stand powers. But the way JoJo does it is like cool and inventive and weird and like never boring.
I don't know. People did complain a lot about the final boss of Golden Wind, Vento Oreo, speaking of Italians.
Yeah, Diavolo.
Yes, his power was too convoluted even for JoJo. People did complain quite a lot about that, because it did need probably like multiple pages to explain what the fuck was happening, and it still didn't make any sense.
I don't even know. That's fair enough, because I don't even know if I fully understand. My working understanding of his power is that he just erases segments of time. Like if you were to lay out time on a timeline, like if you're to take that phrase literally, he is clipping out and re-editing segments of that timeline. That's how I understood it to work. I never questioned it beyond that. To be honest, I don't understand how Golden Wind works. Like, I don't understand how the JoJo stand works in that arc.
At the beginning of that arc, it was about like growing stuff.
Kind of.
It was about like generating stuff, because he would punch plants and they would grow.
Right.
Remember, that's like literally episode 1.
The way I got it was that he could imbue things with life, but then what that actually entails often has very little to do with that concept.
Oh yeah, no. Araki abandoned trying to explain Golden Wind like very early on. He just was like, yeah, it's a JoJo stand. It does JoJo.
It just does
stuff.
what I needed to do for this scene.
Yeah. See, my example would have been Hunter x Hunter, where the powers do become monumentally more complex after Nen is introduced. To the point where we get Kurapika's explanation of their judgment chain, which is probably like an entire chapter of Kurapika just saying how it works to a guy he's fighting.
Yeah.
Which is not great.
No, I don't like that. Obviously, a visual medium always try and do more visually interesting stuff. People have talked about, wall of text comics for ages as a complaint, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the bottom line too was at the end of the day, at the end of the bottom of the line day, Kurapika's big thing that they were explaining the whole time was that he has the lasso of truth from Wonder Woman.
That's it.
That was it.
That's it.
That was it. That's all. That's basically all it did in that particular fight. Did we really need to go through all this? I mean, it's a badass Kurapika scene. People remember it fondly. He literally buries a guy. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And in the last, 20 chapters or so of Jujutsu Kaisen, we have been introducing and reintroducing people's powers so much that it has mostly been, like a dungeon master's guide to like a Jujutsu Kaisen role-playing game. That's what it reads like.
Well, I mean, that's what faltered me up the last time I tried to get into Jujutsu Kaisen, I followed through on the Shinjuku arc, and then I got into the culling game, and then they introduced like the comedian guy and his weird power, and the gambler dude, and the guy who can like summon train cars or something.
Yeah, who cares about that guy?
Yeah.
It's totally irrelevant.
And at that point, it was like, all right, this is too much. I'm no longer interested. You lost me. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that it's gonna get a bad ending, because the ending's definitely gonna be bad, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a bad ending. I just think there was nothing particularly interesting about this final confrontation that it so needed over explanation. I just think that was like a bad move. Like compressing all of this stuff into maybe just Gojo and Itadori fighting as a parallel to the first Gojo Itadori fight, at the beginning of the series.
Sure, yeah.
As a really interesting, beautiful parallel, would have been fantastic. I think that would have been really interesting, and there's a lot of like emotional resonance there. And it wouldn't have lasted 60 chapters, and we would have reached this point where we, this last chapter especially has finally gotten back around to the emotional stakes of the fight, which we had lost a long time ago. And I do think if they continue along, we will get like an interesting ending that is emotionally resonant with the rest of the story. But I don't think anybody's going to be satisfied with it. I think the people who are like me, who kind of want that emotional resonance, are probably going to ask for more. They're going to say this wasn't enough.
Well, it feels like a really short amount of time to announce an ending. 5 chapters.
Yeah, I know. And the people who like the shonen stuff are going to be like, oh, so that's it? That was just like how they defeated him? I mean, obviously, I don't know how they defeat him, but I imagine people are not going to be happy with it. You know what I mean?
I think it'd be hilarious if just Sukuna wins.
Yeah, and destroys the world.
Yeah, just kills everybody and destroys the world, and that's how it ends. I think that'd be hilarious.
They don't have the guts for that.
They don't have the guts.
Shonen Jump does not have the juice for that kind of thing. It would be amazing.
Prove me wrong, children.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll come back in 5 chapters and we'll talk about it. How about that?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's do that. We'll do. Well, as of today, Anime Death Spiral is on Jujutsu Kaisen Death Watch.
we're in Jujutsu Kaisen hospice care.
End of life caregiving mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I talk about a sort of hyped up anime I was playing earlier?
Yeah. Let's pivot away from some visual anime and some more digital anime. How about that?
I'm certain you've heard about this, even just from the quote unquote controversies around it. But I did start playing after literally 100 gig download. I did start playing Black Myth Wukong.
Okay. Yeah. I had Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
Yeah.
Big Monkey Man.
Do you ever see that old show, the Japanese show based on Journey to the West called Monkey? Do you ever see that?
Monkey?
Yeah.
No, but I did watch that movie Monkey Man.
I did like Monkey Man. Yeah, with Dev Patel. Love that guy.
Yeah. Talk about not having an ending.
It just kind of ended when
just kind of stops.
Yeah, it just kind of stops after he punches that guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just stops. Which, is a legitimate way to end a movie. I don't hate it, but it does just kind of stop.
It was no Sopranos ending. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but there are ways that you can just kind of stop, right, and make it work.
Sure. Sometimes you're just like, well, I don't have anything else to say. That's fine.
I mean, in this case, he didn't have any more people to punch.
Yeah, there were no more people to punch. He punched everyone.
So let me ask you this. Does this Monkey Man punch people?
Well, very famously, Monkey Man in Journey to the West does hit people with a big staff.
Right.
So
big stick.
A lot of staff going on. I think I was mentioning it to you earlier about how I wasn't like caught up really in the hype for this game. I was more curious about what it was because, for whatever reason, all of the advertisement, all of this hype, all of this whole media cycle, no one seemed to actually be talking about what the game is.
Well, it's about a monkey, right? And then
it's about a monkey.
It's about a monkey, and then you go around, you beat people up, and you collect some magic crystal balls so that you can make a wish at the end.
You do have to make a wish at the end for sure. That's definitely going to happen. But I was like, is this like a big open world like Ubisoft collectathon? Is this maybe like kind of more of a a hack and slash like Devil May Cry style game?
That's what I had assumed it would be, kind of a do you think that if Devil May Cry, like if the series didn't exist and it came out today, would people call it a Souls-like?
No, it moves too fast. I think one of the things that people identify with Soul stuff is that it's slow.
Yeah, okay. Methodical is, I think, a more non-political way of saying that.
Sure, of course. We wouldn't want to make any kind of political statements about the mechanics of Dark Souls.
Absolutely not.
So I was very surprised to learn when I booted it up. It is just a God of War clone.
Pre-reboot God of War or post-reboot God of War?
No, definitely post-reboot God of War.
So it's
the big move.
It's a big cinematic linear third-person action game.
Yes, exactly. The big move that they do is the same thing that they did in that God of War game, where action and cutscene are seamlessly blended together. It loves to do this. This is its favorite move. It does this probably 80 times in the first hour and a half of gameplay. It is wild. It's constantly doing this.
Maybe this is like a boomer opinion of me, but I think I actually like it more when video games amp up the arcadey aspects. I want a scorecard up in the corner. I want numbers popping off of people. I want an announcer saying like, "Oh, multi-kill, gore-tastic."
Yeah.
Fleshulated.
You want to play Doom.
Yeah. So I think that take that and overlay it over Black Myth Wukong, and I think that would be instantly a much more fun game, just in my imagination.
Well, there is no score multipliers or anything like that, but there are collectibles.
Okay.
You do hit a button to gather ingredients off the ground. Wow, cool, right?
I've been seeing a lot of that these days. What else you got?
There is a level up system. What do you think about that?
Okay. Well, yeah, sure. Lots of games have those. People like that, but
you like that? You like level ups?
Well, it's something that you'd kind of expect from a game of this type anyway.
Sure. You don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I'm neutral on it. I think that's a pretty non-political stance to take.
Sure. There's equipment slots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah. Gotta have a place to put your equipment.
Yep. There's a single healing item that's bound to a shoulder button.
Okay. All right. But what?
Yeah.
How does it play? How's the action? Come on. How's the fighting? That's the whole point, right? You're a monkey man. You can do kicks and you can fly around. You can shoot lasers out of your hands. Do a little Kamehameha move.
You can do a little jump.
Okay.
And there's a little dodge.
Sure.
And there's a normal attack, and there's a heavy attack. And later on, you unlock at least three magic spells.
Okay. So it's just God of War. It's just a God of War clone.
It's just a God of War clone with bad level design.
Oh, this sounds boring. You
know, the thing is, I find the Journey to the West stuff very compelling. I don't know if it's just because at least it's not more King Arthur shit, Lord of the Rings shit. I don't know. I feel like there is something about it that's refreshing.
You're getting sick of Western fantasy tropes, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and also the sheer amount of manga and anime I consume. It's I'm not really super jazzed on the Shinto shit either.
Sure.
These days, it's I've seen it. I've seen talismans and yokai.
Hey, don't forget big ropes and large seals made of big paper.
Torii gates.
Yeah, Torii gates.
Yeah.
Some fox statues. I don't know.
And I don't know. Wukong, Sun Wukong is he's a fun dude.
He's
a fun guy.
I think that what you're describing is And I know that you and I have we're familiar with Journey to the West. Probably not like intimately familiar. I don't. Have you ever like read the whole thing?
Oh God, no! It's
huge.
It's like a big long book written in the like 16th century.
You know, people remember the highlights. A lot of it, from my understanding, is walking over mountains, and some of the mountains are full of ice. Some of the mountains are on fire, and a lot of beating up demons, from my understanding.
Well, you know, there is a sort of like fantasy element to it where Sun Wukong is like going around collecting party members, getting into like RPG encounters with like various demons. At one point, he like, you know, goes to heaven and like fights guys there. He goes under the ocean. He fights guys there.
He's just fighting people. He sounds like a dick, honestly.
He is kind of a dick, but like in a way, he's on our side.
Okay, he's for the little man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on Sun Wukong's side for sure. Fuck those guys.
So, I mean, being completely neutral and non-political here, like...
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to take sides. I'm sorry if that might have been misleading. I'm not taking sides.
Understanding that it is essentially a God of War clone, like, is it at least fun to play mechanically? Like, does it flow well? You mentioned it had bad level design.
Yeah, I find running around the levels to be honestly like a bizarre throwback. Like, if it wasn't so tedious, it would feel nostalgic to like the Xbox 360 days of playing these like very linear action games. You know, the beginning of the game, you're running through a very nondescript forest. And then every once in a while, there's these little wolf guys or rat guys or little toad guys, and they come at you with swords. And obviously you beat their ass until they explode.
Nice.
And that's,
I like
that. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It looks good. There's a lot of really good animation, character animation in the game. And, you know, I'm not deep into the combat system yet, obviously. I'm still near the beginning of the game. But it feels like you have 100% played everything this game has to offer already, which is just weird. It's just weird how big this game is when it comes down to this is a Journey to the West flavored kind of dated action adventure game that has just enough kind of Dark Souls trappings to trick you into thinking it's going to be one thing, and then it turns out to be another thing.
I mean, I don't think it's that weird if you consider the amount of growth that the Chinese PC gaming market has gone under in the last 5 years. And this is being touted as kind of like their entry into the big AAA single-player market, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that there is a lot of enthusiasm, not just from Chinese gamers, but from people all over who are interested in a new kind of aesthetic that, you know, most Western people, I would say, aren't super familiar with Journey to the West the same way we are, just like via anime osmosis.
Yeah. Hey, no, I'm not familiar with Journey to the West through anime. I watched bizarre Western adaptations before I saw any anime of Journey to the West.
That's even weirder. I don't know. It's not surprising to me how big the numbers are right now, because they did announce that it has trounced. I say trounced Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, PUBG, all three of the big ones for concurrent player base. It has put them under the water. We're currently sitting at like 2.5 million concurrent players on this.
No, it's obviously huge.
Yeah, I think it's whether it has staying power as like something people remember as a classic game, which I don't think they make those anymore anyway. Boomer moment. It was better back in my day. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is more important as like a touching point in the way the gaming market is changing on a global scale. I think we're going to see a lot more big games like this coming out of China in the future.
But I feel like, again, this is just a testament to the success of marketing. Mm-hmm. This is yet another game that exists because marketing. This thing was so heavily marketed, and very masterfully so, obviously. Because the game itself is absolutely... You have played this game.
You know, I've heard people online calling that style the Sony Studio style. Like, because that's kind of what their in-house style games are that they've been making, right? We've got, Last of Us, God of War. To a lesser extent, I would say the Horizon games, although those are more open world than linear kind of focused games. But you get what I mean, right?
Yes, and I would say all three of those games are doing a lot more than this one is.
Spider-Man.
No, not Spider-Man. Not Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
This is nothing like Spider-Man. Don't even say that. You're making me upset.
All right,
Don't make me get political.
All right, let's pivot. I would like to talk about some of the comments the head of the studio's made about
Next
feminism.
subject. Tell me that you watched an anime this week because, man, we need something.
Well, man.
Give us the juice.
I watched an anime. I'm not lying when I say that, but I don't think that you're going to like what I decided to spend my time on. It was a long time coming. It's been brewing in the background. We've been purposely avoiding the topic for a long time. But it's here. It's in our face, and we can no longer deny that Rick and Morty, the anime, exists, and it is on the airwaves.
Oh my God, it's real.
It's real.
It's actually real.
They made it.
It's real, people.
The Mad Men did it.
They did it.
In the immortal words of Jeff Goldblum, no one asked if they should. They only asked if they could.
And it was a little undercut by Rick and Morty, the Australian cartoon.
Different beasts. I really like the Australian episode of Rick and Morty. I still think that's super funny. I like that animator.
Yeah.
I think his other shows are pretty fun. But this one was, I don't even know why this exists. Like,
you don't? I know.
Is it just because was there a meme? Did someone say hey, they should make a Rick and Morty anime? Was that a thing people were saying?
I don't know if people were trying to will that into existence, but this is obviously a show that exists primarily through the id, and the id of Rick and Morty fans absolutely is bent towards anime Rick and Morty, for sure.
So I want to be upfront about this. This is an anime-ass anime. It is subtitled.
What does that even mean?
Well, it was made in Japan by a Japanese studio and is in Japanese with subtitles. There's no...
like Suicide Squad, Isekai.
Yeah, like Suicide Squad Isekai. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so weird because from what I saw, I think that this was made by a Japanese person who is genuinely a fan of Rick and Morty, and that whole concept kind of baffles me a little bit. It shouldn't, because I know that there's a healthy following of South Park fans in Japan. Did you know this?
Sure.
There's a pretty big South Park subculture in Japan.
Yeah, the King of the Hill, Dub Wars.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. I always imagine it must be a scenario that's something like, when Crayon Shin-chan got adapted over here and they kind of made it rude, sort of South Park-ish, when it's a lot more innocent in Japanese.
Or that time the BBC dubbed Urusei Yatsura with a bunch of Cockneys.
I missed that one.
You never saw the BBC dub of Urusei Yatsura?
No, I have not.
Oh, dude,
don't sound shocked.
You have to look this up. It's absolutely hilarious.
Oh my God. Okay, I will.
But that's beside the point. It's so weird. I could not nail the tone of this episode. There's one episode out right now, and it had an underlying of sincerity to it that I felt alien and off-putting in the Rick and Morty context. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
And so maybe I'll just get into it. The framework of the episode, and I'm assuming that this is going to be how they present the series, is they seem to be doing almost a What's another example of a story where it's like we start off with a bunch of unrelated threads that all start converging toward each other? Is there a name for that kind of thing?
Yeah, they call that the Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. It's true, really.
Yeah, definitely. The true.
They're doing a Cloud Atlas where we are essentially...
The Rick and Morty anime is doing a Cloud Atlas.
Basically, from what I can tell, we are following like 5 or 6 different closely related timelines that have all diverged in slightly subtle ways. And so they keep showing, they have this recurring motif of showing the same scene over and over again, but Morty is talking to a different character in each reality. And then...
Oh, Christ. Please don't give me Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya flashbacks.
No, we're doing that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it starts off where, one of the realities is the prime one. And then within that, we have Morty playing on a VR video game, a totally immersive game that Rick has designed to occupy his little Morty mind, right?
Sure. Yes. Classic conceit at this point.
Yes. And then, from there, we have to make the logical jump that within a framework of infinite realities where anything is possible, one of those realities is the reality contained within the VR game played by Morty. And then from that reality, the VR reality, we have a branching kind of like a multi-scenario timeline. Where all of these different game threads that Morty has been playing out in the VR game have spawned their own realities, and they're converging on each other in kind of a Atlas, Cloud Atlas fashion.
Cloud Atlas style.
Yeah.
Dreams within dreams.
Dreams within dreams within dreams that all know that the dreamer is dreaming.
I hate that.
Yeah. It's even
awful.
more convoluted and up its own ass than an actual episode written by Dan Harmon.
Maybe it's making fun of that.
You'd think that, but the tone, again, I'm going back to the tone of the episode, it plays it so melancholic and sympathetic towards Rick and Morty as characters. Like, it is, okay, so, we have, like, Morty kind of living out this life where at first in the VR, he's a hero who's, like, gets jumped by a bunch of thugs, and there's a convergence of realities where in one, he beats off the thugs, and and in another...
Hey, wait, hold on.
Phrasing. And in another, like, a random bystander jumps in to help him, and then he, like, starts off a lifelong friendship with that guy. And in another one, his dream girl jumps in and saves him from the thugs. And in another one, he's the hero, but he, some other contrivance. But you get where I'm going with this. And right at the end of the episode, we have this reveal that certain characters that we've been introduced to, Morty's love interest, Morty's best friend, the alternate badass hero Morty from the future, they all seem to know that they are, in fact, different offshoots of this one decision, and they're trying to get back to Prime Morty somehow. And that's kind of how it leaves off, with us kind of wondering what's going on, And in each of these, we have the different Ricks showing up, the different Rick realities and their different versions.
Right.
Rick plays in the anime. Rick is playing more the role of the aloof advisor who is dropping subtle hints throughout.
Sure.
The tuxedo
He's the
mask.
party member that is 20 levels above you and just joins the party for like the first couple missions.
Exactly, yes. And says some cryptic shit about the future and then disappears.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are with Rick and Morty, the anime.
Wait. Does Rick brap?
Oh, yeah. No, he burps, he braps, he drinks.
What does that sound like in Japanese? Did they translate that well?
No, unfortunately, they do just port over the, I guess not the Justin Roiland burp, but the new voice actor burp.
Not the Justin Roiland one.
As a soundboard gag. But the rest of it is in Japanese.
Okay.
It is kind of weird that they don't treat Rick's drinking in this as like a crippling addiction, like they often joke about in the cartoon, right?
Sure.
He in fact is going for the more refined older guardian who keeps a flask in his coat because he's just that cool, right? He's doing more of a James Bond drinking thing.
A James Bond. James Bond didn't carry a flask.
He didn't? Are you sure? I'm pretty sure I remember James Bond getting drunk in the middle of a fight once.
Which one would that be? Definitely not Daniel Craig. He is the most overly serious Bond.
No, it was from one of the lesser known Bonds. I think it was in From Burgundy with Love.
I was gonna say that sounds like Misato.
From Ava. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Yes. No.
Like a fun drunk.
Yeah. Yes. There were definitely some Misato
like
vibes,
a sloppy fun drunk
going on there.
Yeah.
That's a good example. I like that.
You're welcome.
By which I mean I hate it.
Is he sexy?
Oh yeah. Well, one of the versions of Rick is sexy.
Okay.
Like we have an explicit Bishojo Rick.
Oh, okay.
He's got like long flowing
right.
hair and sunglasses. You know, he's kakoi, as the kids say. He's cool.
Got you. Yeah, you're really tempting me to use that Rick Cross Pearl fan art for the thumbnail of this episode.
I was expecting you to do it just to piss off our listeners.
Now you have to see it.
Okay, one last thing. I want to leave off with a somewhat positive note on Rick and Morty the anime.
You do?
Animation, I do. The animation looks good. And I say that unironically, like it was actually really kind of cool. It's a very neat adaptation of the like Rick and Morty style. They're not doing like a full-on anime parody of what an anime looks like. It is being adapted in its own way. It's got this weird kind of blobby, sketchy style. Like, do you remember Cat Soup?
Yes.
Do you remember Cat Soup?
Of course I remember Cat Soup.
It reminds me a little bit of Cat Soup.
Wow. So somebody took the job seriously.
Yeah. No, I think like that's what I mean. Why I said there is like this undercurrent of sincerity to this that I think whoever directed this, Rick and Morty, the anime, either really had respect for animation as a medium or really had respect for Rick and Morty as a franchise, because they were not phoning it in.
Yeah, let me just ask you this one final thing. Did they understand the assignment?
I cannot say with a clear heart that they didn't. I think that if I said bring me a Rick and Morty anime and they brought me this, there would be no complaints.
Yeah, you'd be like, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's what I'm saying right now.
Fair enough.
Check it out. Just check it out. It's weird. It's weird in a novel sense that it exists at all. And I want to see where they're going with this because I think that it may actually be the best thing that they've done with Rick and Morty for a long time.
No, Doc and Marty.
I think it's legitimately the best Rick and Morty thing since Doc and Marty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Even ironically?
Even double ironically.
Even double irony?
Yeah, even double indemnity.
Even with the bulletproof vest of double irony, it's still better than Doc and Marty. Wow.
As good as. I didn't say better.
Oh, okay. As good as.
Yeah.
Well, I did, honestly, sounds like there's nothing left to say, so why don't we take a break?
I would like that. Let's take a break.
All right, Nate. Now, you know, the one thing I love to do more than anything in the entire world, I think, is to say I told you so.
It's true. I did know that about him.
It's a truly beautiful feeling. I think it's something that we can all relate to. I know some people consider it petty, but frankly, it's the winner's right, isn't it?
Listen, there is nothing more validating than being able to stand in front of someone, most likely an enemy at this point, and say, you were fucking wrong.
You were wrong. You were wrong about this, and I was correct.
Oh, it is the sweetest meat. It is better than the finest wine on your lips. I would savor every morsel of that feeling if I ever got to do it, which I never have.
No, unfortunately, if you are on the other side of the I told you so, it is one of the most crushing defeats. Because you were warned, you were forewarned, and yet you still walked directly into it.
Absolutely. The signs were all there.
Now, unlike you, I've been landing pretty solid hits, recently. Obviously, I called a comic I had been talking about quite often on this podcast, and there's proof. You can go back and listen to it. I called the Gachiakuta anime adaptation, right?
Uh-huh, you did. I remember that.
That was pretty good.
That was a good call.
I called Dan to Dan very early on.
Oh, yeah. You were a big proponent of that.
I said, this one's going to be big.
Now,
it was just me. I was the only one.
It's not as impressive. I'm counting this as a half point for myself, but
okay.
the Red Cat Ramen, I did get into that like a week and a half before they announced the anime. I felt good about that one. I knew that there was something to pay attention to there.
You caught a good vibe off that.
I got a good vibe off that one. Oh, yeah. Same with Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. I was right on the cutting edge of that anime.
Yeah?
Uh-huh, oh yeah. And I read it, I'm like, damn, those Hokkaido gals are adorable. They're going straight to the TV screen.
Oh, they're going to the top, baby.
Yeah, they're going right to the top.
Though then they did get canceled.
Did it get canceled, or did it just get one season? Tap's forehead.
Interesting.
They only planned one season, okay? It was meant to end like that.
Yeah, they were kind of playing around with it. Well, let me counter that. I, of course, did call Sentai Daishikaku, Go-Go Loser Ranger.
Absolutely.
I said very early on, I love this comic. I think it's got everything it needs to get an anime adaptation. And I got that one. I told you so. I told you so, listener.
He told us, and it happened, and now we're all fucking ashamed of ourselves.
What else did I get? Let's take a look at the old library. Let's take a look.
What else? Because you got him in there.
I feel like, even though I started reading Chainsaw Man pretty early on, the writing was on the wall, so I can't really give it a wholehearted I told you so. It was obvious. Like, it was obvious.
Its meteoric rise to fame it locked it in almost immediately from the get-go that it was going to get an anime adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, that one was unstoppable. Same with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Mm-hmm.
I did start reading that as well before the anime, but...
I mean, is it fair to say that anybody that makes it to the top of the Shueisha charts for, 50, 60 chapters in a row is going to get an anime?
Yeah, it's not. You can't really claim those. I don't want to overstep my bounds.
Yeah, those are the heavy hitters. Those are the easy bets. The low payouts.
Now, if they made a Fire Punch anime, that would be a big I told you so.
Oh, that would be such a dark horse. That would be like 100-1 bet. There's no way.
That would be a beautiful call. That would be a beautiful call.
That they would do a Fire Punch anime.
I don't have the juice right now. I don't have the kind of bank account to put behind a Fire Punch anime. So I'm not making that call. I'm going to hold on to that. I think there are better calls to make.
We're going to keep that one in the pocket for right now.
That's something I'm going to have to hold on to. Now, something like if Look Back really comes out the gate swinging, and I think it's going to because it's been pretty strong in Japan.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, it did the festival circuit, and it was looking good out there.
It has a major theater release in Japan right now. People are going to see it.
Yep. So I think something like Goodbye Eri on the heels of that that seems like we've got a really good chance.
You think that we're going to get the Fujimoto-sans?
In fact, I might Google that right now because I would not be surprised if it was already announced.
He's using the powers of the internet.
I'm thinking, you know what? It looks like no. We don't have a Goodbye Eri anime announcement. So I feel very strongly that this could be something I could put a little bit of money behind. This is hot.
That's something to keep an eye out for.
I want to say a mediocre returns on a I Told You So for Goodbye Eri, because again, obviously this is the Fuji train.
Sure.
And it is not stopping.
No, it's going all the way to the top, baby.
It's going hard.
Puts all the way there.
Yeah, what I'm more interested in is some of the long calls, you know?
I mean, it's always sweeter to get the long shot, right? To hit the bullseye.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. You want to look at something that's maybe not tearing up the charts, but will build up to something good and punch through sort of the haze, the fog. And I've got a few of those. I don't know if you've been eyeing anything right now, but I do have a few.
Oh, I've got a couple things. I've got a couple things that I've been paying attention to.
Okay.
If not an anime adaptation on the horizon, then definitely a boom in popularity. Definitely around the corner for a couple things. I can feel it. And a couple of them are stuff I've talked about before on the show, but not for a long time, so I think it's worth repeating, worth bringing them up again.
Okay.
But,
okay.
But you go first. What do you think? What do you think that we should be paying attention to right now?
Well, I want to say in the same vein as something
Give
like...
me your Jim Cramer take on the whole thing.
Yeah. You know, I think people are maybe ignoring a couple sectors right now because of the popularity of shonen and isekai series and what we would call maybe, I don't know, seinen adjacent shonen like Chainsaw Man. I think people have been kind of ignoring the more solidly seinen space. We might have a something I called very early on like Hikaru ga Shinda Natsu, which wasn't blowing up everywhere, but I had a really good feeling about, and obviously that now has an anime adaptation, so I am giving that a very solid I Told You So. The Summer Hikaru Died is the English translation, and it whips. It absolutely whips. One of the rare cases where I genuinely thought something would win out based purely on the merit of its actual content. Not always the case. In fact, probably not the case most of the time. But the good guys win every once in a while. And The Summer Hikaru Died absolutely fucking deserves it. But I think somewhere in that space where we're kind of sitting between a more traditional genre spot, because that is sort of a boys' love, but also a bit of a horror boys' love thing, kind of bouncing between those ideas.
I can see that garnering a very quick cult following in the West when it picks up.
Oh, I think I have very high hopes. Obviously, you know, I'm a little wary. I've been put off. I'm a little skittish right now because I did call Quality Assurance in Another World, and when it finally hit, the animation was not good, like we talked about. It was not good enough to sustain something that I really liked in manga
The
form.
call was correct, but the output wasn't there.
Yes, and I'm a little skittish about this one. It could go either way.
It could go either. Well, it's always going to depend on which studio gets it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I do feel the urge to hedge my bets a little bit right now. So the first one I want to call out is, of course, Chojin X. Are you familiar?
I think so. Is this his art reminds me of the guy who did Blame, but it's not that guy. That
guy, though. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
I am familiar with Chojin X, though.
This is Ishida Sui.
Yes.
He's the Tokyo Ghoul guy.
Yes, that's right. That's where I knew him from.
Yes. Obviously, Tokyo Ghoul started off slow, but became like one of the biggest fucking hits. Absolute massive hit. The anime itself, very rocky. But at the end of the day, like, the manga itself is one of the artistically, purely visually, one of the most staggering works in all of manga. I'm willing to say that. And I think Chojin X is so playful, and it feels like such a maturation of everything that Ishida was doing in Tokyo Ghoul, but at the same time playing with familiar shonen elements in a playful way that I feel like blew up in Chainsaw Man. I feel like this has absolutely the potential of a Chainsaw Man takeover. If it was coming out more regularly, I feel like we would be hearing about it a lot more. But the combination of fantastic art style, playful shonen-esque like kind of remix, and the previous success of this author, I feel like this is a as close to a sure thing as I have in the bag right now. I feel like this is going to be a strong I told you so.
One to keep the eye out for.
Chojin X.
People like that Tokyo Ghoul, so it's a safe bet. I think you're onto something there.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I bring up what I think is a bit more of a dark horse contender? I'm shaky. I'm shaky on this, but if it takes off the way I want it to, the way I think it might, oh boy, this guy could be the next Junji Ito. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I am, of course, talking about, and I talked about this a long time ago on the second or third episode of the podcast, Shibatarian by Katsuya Iwamuro. And this is a weird little, absolutely delightfully drawn, kind of Tezuka-inspired almost style story about a would-be filmmaker who, due to a series of humiliating circumstances that occurred to him in school, leaves behind his dream of storytelling, and also leaves behind a friend, a weird friend, Shibata, that he knew, who was his filmmaking partner. And years later, Shibata reemerges as an almost otherworldly Lovecraftian entity bent on torturing him and making him relive the worst moments of his life.
I'm not super bullish on Shibatarian's chances, I have to say. I think it might be a little outlandish, but obviously weird shit does slip through every season, so I'm not 100% against it.
I would agree with you, but I want to point out one thing, and I think that we are on the cusp of a new horror anime adaptation wave.
Really?
And yes. I think that Junji Ito collection done by Netflix last year, or 2022, I think that did well enough that it has sparked enough interest. Because are you aware that in, 5-6 weeks, we are getting the first Adult Swim produced Junji Ito adaptation of Uzumaki? You've paying attention to that?
Of course I am. I've been following that very closely. Now I am bullish. I'm quite bullish on that. You know, when I said that the first trailer came out and they revealed they're doing it in black and white, complete black and white, that I said that was 100% the objectively correct move.
Listen,
so I am very on board.
All I can say is that if you are bullish on Uzumaki, then you've got to be bullish on Shibatarian.
It's an interesting perspective. I'm not sure if I'm 100% behind it. I would love a big horror wave because obviously that would maybe boost the chances of us finishing out a Doro Heidoro run, which I would absolutely kill for. And of course, if a Doro Heidoro run became very popular, we could move on to a Die Dark run, which I would be also very stoked for.
Absolutely.
But I'm just not sure about that one. I'm just not sure about that one.
Listen, it's a long shot. There's no way around it. But if it takes off, it will be the sweetest of I told you so's.
That would be good.
Like a golden apple hanging down from the tree in Elysium.
Can I give you a slightly better bet?
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying this one's a sure thing. This one is a little bit on rocky ground, I would say. I'm kind of putting money behind this. I wouldn't bet everything. Wouldn't bet the house on this one, but I've got a good feeling on Rebuild World. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, even though I did talk about it before.
Rings a bell, but why don't you talk about it a little?
Rebuild World is based on a kind of sci-fi light novel built on the bones of an isekai, but is not an isekai. It's one of those that has absorbed the genre tropes without taking in the core concept. It's about a boy who is essentially an isekai protagonist. He is helpless in his current life. He meets a pseudo-tragic end, and when he wakes up, his life has been transformed, and he has these fabulous new powers, and they allow him to kind of become a true hero in his world.
Okay.
His world happens to be a sort of last man standing, Mad Maxy kind of thing, where he lives in the slums of a super city, but everything everywhere else is these monster-filled ruin desert shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And he makes his money by becoming a scavenger, basically. But he becomes like one of the best scavengers with the help of what is essentially a companion AI that may or may not be taking advantage of him. Interesting, right? Now, the manga adaptation has been going on for a while. It's about 60 chapters in, and this is being done by a separate pair. It has every one of the isekai checkboxes checked. It's like ready to go on all of the popular trends right now, but it also has a fun twist wherein he has developed these beautiful magical powers through the help of this AI, but the AI might not be a friendly. And I feel like that central tension, it could get it farther across the finish line than other kind of more standard isekais at the moment. Then again, you know, we've talked a lot about the isekais. My taste may be counter to most other people's.
I don't think putting money on isekai is ever a bad bet.
It's not a bad bet, but what I consider things in its favor might not actually be in its favor. You know what I mean?
I get you.
So it's on unsteady ground. I'm not betting the house, like I said, but I feel like this has got good I told you so potential.
Let's see here.
You got another one?
Yeah, this is one that I've said to keep an eye on before, and I'm going to reiterate. I'm not going to dwell on it because I've talked about it several times, but Hope You're Happy Lemon. Keep an eye on that one.
You are so bullish on this one.
I am so bullish on this one. It has got everything. It's got laughs. It's got romance. It's got tension. It's got body swapping. And it not only does it have body swapping, it has body swapping in a way that makes the whole concept like actually interesting and not sexualized and creepy, which is a big plus for me. It's got so much potential. I wish people would glom onto this one. Because it is right there. I can feel it.
Sure.
We're 35 chapters in, and it's only going up.
I'd be interested to see how a gender swap could break back into the market. You know, we're not seeing too many of them right now. It would be interesting to see that, or maybe a Futari switch.
Yeah.
Which I am very up on, kind of burst into the scene and kind of like revitalize the genre. The gender swap genre. Could be interesting to see. Not sure if that's an I told you so for me, but I am interested in the concept.
Oh, if this picks up the way I want it to, it's gonna be I'm gonna sink my teeth into that one.
That's gonna be sweet for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you eat lemons on that one, bud.
Okay. I'll prepare myself. I'll brace myself. Okay, so I have one more that I feel very strongly about. This might be my biggest I told you so of this set.
Okay.
I am talking, of course, about Ogami Tsumiki no Kinichiju.
And what is that?
That, I believe the English translation is
excuse me?
Tsumiki Ogami and the Strange Everyday Life. I have described this before. This is, of course, about the boy who transfers into the demi-human school so that he can learn more about being an authentic little boy.
Oh, okay, sure.
And immediately meets an incredibly authentic, like, wolf girl. And it's like, she's like way into him for some reason.
It's just too real.
This is primed. It's got the cutesy, like, monster girl aesthetic. It's got a very solid, like, you know, harmless and playful, like, school romance angle. It's got gags about everyday life as, like, a fantasy character. It's got early buzz that's like still picking up. This thing's already at, I don't know, like 36 chapters or something. I feel very strongly about this one. This is going to be an I told you so for sure. To the point where I'm just going to go ahead and make sure there isn't already an announcement.
On the edge of my seat here.
Let's take a look here. Okay, it's got a wiki entry.
Good sign.
Does not say anything about an anime. So I think I'm on this one. I think this is the one.
Okay. All right. Let's round out then with my last pick here. And I am going to say that without hesitation, put all of your money on this. There's only one chapter out. This manga literally just started, and I can already tell that it is going to be absolute fire. It is going to take the world by storm. I have so much faith in this, and that is Sute Tabatai Gyaru Sawa-san, or Sawa wants to fish and eat. And this is going to be the #1 Gyaru comic of all time. I really feel good about this one.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's
what sets this apart?
Well,
from
she's
the current set.
We have an outgoing and like extroverted Gyaru, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and we have kind of like a repressed office worker dude, right?
An office worker, huh?
Yeah. So they're adults.
Wow, interesting.
And get this.
Oh shit.
You want to know what her job is?
Oh no. Does it have something to do with fishing?
She's a commercial fisherman.
Oh shit.
But she's also a Gyaru.
She's a Gyaru who can hang with the lads.
Yep, and she fishes and she kills the fish and she cooks the fish and she eats the fish.
She fishes and she cooks the fish and she can have a pint down at the local pub.
Yep. Or several.
Yeah, with the boys.
With the boys.
Yeah, okay. I could see that.
And this guy is like, what? But I only fish to relax. She's too intense for me. But you know what? She's a catch. Boom. Nailed it.
Oh, shit. Okay, I'm convinced.
Yep. So
if that's the tagline, I'm convinced.
That's the tagline I'm giving it, baby.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a pretty good crop. I feel like we're burning through this season. We're going to get to next season. Obviously, we've got some good announcements. Obviously Dan to Dan and Rama is coming. We've got a few other ones that I told you so'd. And then we're going to move into the next set of announcements, and we're going to call these chips in. I'm excited. I wrote it all down. So
he's the anime bookkeeper is what we call him.
I'm going to have some big I told you so energy.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. Look forward to that, handsome and beautiful listeners.
Okay. Well, I believe that
I told you so all over your asses.
He's going to do it. He'll do it.
I'm going to fucking go off.
All right. I believe that brings us to the end of yet another anime death spiral. Thank you once again for sticking with us.
You're welcome.
You lonely souls out there, You beautiful spirits, you wonderful people. So tall, so handsome, so elegant.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't overdo it.
All right.
Pull back a little bit.
Like us on Apple Podcasts. Give us the 5 stars. We want it. Check us out on TikTok. We upload the episodes on YouTube. Like us there.
Yes, follow the Blue Sky account. Do the thing.
And once again, we told you so.
We told you so.
Bye.
We need a lot more listeners. It needs to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
He's absolutely right.